Hello guys, this is Krishna Adya, and in last session we studied about form validations and how to pass the data of one page to another page. So in all the previous sessions we work with the data which was static, means the data was not fetching from the database or was not inserting into the database, means the data was not performing any task with the database. When you work with the database, the data will become dynamic. The websites which works use the database to store the data, to retrieve the data, to insert the data, to update the data, etc. Now, to work with the database, there are many databases available like PHP-MyAdmin, Oracle, MySQL, etc. Over here, we will work with PHP-MyAdmin. To work with PHP-MyAdmin, your XAMPP server must be on and MySQL service must be on. That helps to work with PHP-MyAdmin. Now, in the Chrome, open the localhost/phpMyAdmin. Now, to perform any operation on the data, you must need a table to store the data. And the different tables are stored in different database. So, first task is to create the database. So, to create the database, click on New. Type the name of the database. Let's give it practice. And then click on create button. But when you create a database and the same database contains in your PHP-MyAdmin, then it will not allow to create the database with the same name. So give the unique name to the database and now click on the create. The database name practice has been created. Now our second task is of creating the table. To create the table, write the name of the table over here. We will give the name student. The number of columns means number of columns which will be in our table. I need only two columns, that is student ID and student name. So I will decrement the number of columns and click on go. So over here we have to design our structure of the table. Name contains the column name. So our first column will be student ID and the next column will be student name. The type means the type of the data, means the data type of the data that will be inserted in the column. The student ID contains integer value and the student name contains varchar value because the student name must be in a string. If you don't give the length to the integer, then it will take by default as 11, but you have to assign the length to the varchar data type. You can give as per your data. Now I want that the student ID must be auto-incremented. Means when I enter the name of the first student, at that time the ID will be 1. When I enter the second name of the student, at that time the ID will be 2. But I don't want to assign the ID number at each time. So I will simply click on the AI, means auto incremented, and then it will ask for primary key. Click go. So now the student ID is auto incremented. Now click on save. And the student table has been created with the column name student ID and the second column, that is student name, with the data type varchar that contains the size 255 and student ID contains the data type integer and size is 11. So over here you can see a golden key with the student ID column. This contains, that is primary key. Now what do you mean by primary key? Primary key means it will not allow the same data to be inserted. It will prohibit the redundant data. Means when you have entered the student ID 1 and after entering 4 to 5 datas, again you enter the student ID as 1, then it will not allow the data to be inserted because it is the redundant data, as the student ID 1 has already existed. So this is the work of the primary key. Now When you click on the browse button, you can see the data that is in the table. But as the table is empty, so first we have to insert the data in the table. So by two ways you can insert the data in the table. The first way is to insert by clicking on the insert button. Over here, the student ID is auto-incremented, so no need to give the value in the student ID. Now, give the name of the student. Let's give ABC, and let's insert the second data and give the name of the student as BCD. Now, click on Go button and two data will be inserted in our table. When you click on the browse, you can see the two data, that is one ABC and two BCD. Now, the another way to insert the data is by clicking on the SQL. This will give the area to write the query by your own, or by clicking on the insert button, the query of the insert will be written. Now, the first keyword is insert, that indicates that this query is of insert. Into means in which table you want to insert the data. That is student table, I want to insert my data. Then the first column is student ID, the next column is student name, and it contains the values like which you give over here. So first give null, as the first column is auto incremented, so no need to give any value to that. And now the name of the student is GHI. Now the name will be of string, and string will be between the double inverted commas, so it contains the inverted. Now click on Go and the data will be inserted. So the third data as GHI is inserted. So by this way you can insert the data. Now if you want to update the data, means now I want to change the student name from GHI to XYZ where student ID is 3. The first and simple trick is click on the edit button of the same row. And instead of GHI, just type XYZ and click on Go. The name has been updated to XYZ. Now I want to update the data in another way. So click on the SQL, click on the update. It will generate the query, update the table, that is student, set student ID is equal to value and student name is equal to value, where student ID is equal to this. Now I don't want to update the student ID, so I will remove the student ID from here. I just want to update the student name, and I want to change it from XYZ to again the first name, that was GHI, where student ID was 3. So where student ID is equal to 3. And click on Go. The data has been updated to again GHI. So by these two ways you can update the data. Now I want to delete the data. So the simple trick is to click on the delete button of the same row, that I want to delete the data from student ID 3. Now delete, and it will a confirmation that do you really want to execute delete from student where student ID is equal to 3, means you want to delete the data where student ID 3. Yes, I want to delete. Click on OK. So data has been deleted. Another trick to delete the data is go to SQL, click on the delete button, delete from student where student ID is equal to 2. When you click on Go, delete student ID where student ID is equal to 2. Click on delete, delete from student where student ID is equal to 2. Okay, so this query has been successfully fired. Now when you browse, there will only one data as student ID 1 and student name is ABC. So by this way you can insert, update and delete the data. Now the fourth operation was to select the data. When you click on the browse button over here, the select query is fired and the data is shown over here. Now if you want to drop the whole database, means you don't want this database, then click on the practice, click on operations and drop the database. It will ask for confirmation that you want to destroy the complete database. Then click on the OK button and the database has been dropped. So now our database name practice is not available over here. It has been completely dropped. Thank you for watching my video. If you like it, then please subscribe my channel.